stripes are everywhere for spring, and I am telling you, there's so many genius ideas out there that I just love shopping and going, oh my gosh, who thinks of this? But they think of it, and why let it go to waste? We can borrow it, and it's just incredible. So I call this the crisscross because there's a couple things they're doing. They're using a fabric, which I did, which is a little bit thin. I can't say see-through, but you know, you can kind of get what's happening underneath. So what you see with this top, and I've taken kind of a close-up here, is you can see that the stripes are going, I'm going to call it a bias, but knits don't have bias, but anyway, stripes are going one direction and then the opposite direction. And then of course, as it goes to the bottom portion, you can see how they're going opposite directions. This is really easy to do. It does take, I would use 1 extra yard of fabric. I'm using pattern number 197, Kendosa's top. And the beauty of Kendosa's top is that it looks good on every shape out there, which is why I made it in the first place, because this is like the old blouson. It's an overlay. The bottom portion is fitted. And so if you do it as a dress, if you do it over leggings, it doesn't matter what, it is just flattering. The back is lower, it covers the rear. It's a home run. As far as flattering tops go, it's a home run. So this composition of stripes, I just love it. And I stole a couple different elements and I put them together here. So let me go through and explain to you. You have 5 pieces. You have, in Kendosa's top, you've got 5 pieces. You've got the front and the back base. So for those, what I did is I used a yard of fabric. I folded, and stripes are really easy because you want to fold those at a 90-degree angle. And if you use the stripe and if you use the selvage, you can't lose. And then you can lay that down and boom, cut it out like that. And you want to make sure that you lay the front and the back the same direction. So I cut a yard, and I did my front and backs first. You've got fabric that's left over because these don't take up the whole width when you do that. That's where I did my back overlay. My back overlay, actually, mine does, it has a seam. The pattern has a seam. And the only reason I did that was to save some fabric. If you got 2 more yards, you wouldn't even have to do that. You could put the front and the back overlay both on the fold. But then when you've cut the tops, you're going to fold the stripe the opposite direction. So you're going to bring the stripe to the selvage. And again, it doesn't matter which one goes which way, it makes no difference. But first you're going to bring the selvage up and then the stripe down to the selvage. And then when you put the overlay on, what you'll get is stripes, as you can see underneath here, that go in opposite directions. It's just adorable. It's just the cutest thing. And then down here, you see that they just go their own way. I just love it. I just absolutely loved it. When I saw it in the store, I thought, that's just genius. All right, so then there's another little stripe that I decided to use because you could. A lot of bands now are being sewn on tops. And so with this stripe and the width of this stripe, it allows you to have a really beautiful band all the way around the neck edge. And what I did is just put the stripe at the top of that band. So the way you're going to cut that is the width of this band, what I cut is I cut it 2 inches wide, but I put the band right below the halfway mark. So the halfway mark is 1 inch, and I put the stripe right below the inch. So when I cut it out, I first just cut out the whole stripe, leave the stripe in the middle, and then what you're going to do is measure 1 inch to the edge of the blue, and that's going to be your band. And then generally when you do a band like this, that's a sewing issue, it's usually about 1 inch shorter than the neck edge. And it is in the direction of the stripe, so that's something to consider also. So let me say that again. If you're using another fabric and you want to do this, the stretch of the fabric has to be in the direction of that stripe. It can't be the opposite direction or else it won't work. And if you have 2-way fabric, that's fine also. But this is the stretch of the fabric, so I could pull it slightly. Again, the whole entire band is about 1 inch, 1.5 inches smaller than the neck edge. That will vary by the type of fabric you're using. So we used the crisscross applesauce, and then we used the band at the bottom, and those two things came together, worked great. when I did the piece that goes around, I used the band straight on the stripe, and that was because, again, that's the direction of the stretch of the fabric. This direction, the bias, or it's not a bias, I'll call it a bias. The bias directions don't make any difference. They don't change. Nothing goes along with that. So I hope you enjoy. Love these little ideas. Play with stripes. There's so many great ideas out there. These are just a few. Happy sewing from Silhouette Patterns. There's one thing I forgot to show you. This is fabric 2240. No, this is, I don't remember. We'll post it. But what I wanted to show you was we have those stars fabrics, and they're perfect for this top as well. So one is 2275, and it's really light, and the base is 2274, and it's more like a cotton weight. They're both cotton. But those two together, oh my gosh, they'd be phenomenal. And then also for this one, we have 2271. And this 2271 is a beautiful pairing to go with this. Oh, I had to show you the fabric. Sorry. Okay, now, happy sewing from Silhouette Patterns.